right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/the Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you may be listening, thanks for making me part of your day. This is episode 225 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. I do have an announcement to make before we begin here. If you've been listening over the past few weeks and you've heard me reference so many things and all of the new tools that are available to you on the WW app, and you aren't a WW customer right now, this is now probably a better time than any to join if you're already considering it. There is currently a 60% discount for new members to join Weight Watchers. And the terms of that 60% discount are essentially that you have to commit to 10 months. I mean, 10 months at over half off, you can't beat that because it's literally your almost your first year is going to be 60% off, okay? What are we talking about? 2 months that when it goes to full price? So if you ask me, that's a perfect opportunity to really take 10 months and give it your all while the promotion is going on, while you're getting a discounted rate. Give it your all. Apply the theories I've been teaching you over the last few weeks and really give it a shot. A good, real attempt. How often have we said we're trying something and we're not even actually trying? We're just saying it to everyone as if talking about it is going to make it happen, right? But if you ask me, this promo is a good one to take advantage of. These kind of major discounts like this over a good period of time, that's a good time to join. And if you're considering it, look, there's going to be a link down below in the description of this podcast. Click that link, and when you sign up, you'll see you'll get a 60% discount. And if you join, make sure, come and join me in my favorite workshop Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coach Sophie F. Come and join us and let Sophie know you're there because of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. Well, let's not waste more time. Let's get into this! Journey update. So weigh-in was March 22nd, 2025. My weigh-in that day was 224.6 pounds. There was a 2.8 pound gain, and that puts me 28.2 pounds away from my goal, which is to lose 200 pounds. My stats for work go from March 16th, 2025 to March 22nd, 2025. Total steps taken in this time is 78,698 steps. This is an average steps per day of 11,243. There were 33.6 miles walked, and that's an average miles per day of 4.8 miles. So I wanted to take today to really bring attention to the possibility of failure. We have gone over so many new things, so many things that some of you, I'm sure, have made plans and have begun implementing those plans in the way you will approach your journey. it is natural that when you implement something new, that there will be failure points that you need to work out. And this instance, look, I want you to forget everything you've ever done. This is what I'm essentially going to be asking you of today, is to forget everything you've ever done. Because really, this is probably unlike anything you've ever done at this point. I mean, how many times have you joined the Weight Watchers program? How many times have you said, okay, well, we know it's a points program. I mean, it's been years since it's been anything other than a points program. So I'm not even talking about beyond that. I'm talking about in the last, I don't know, in the 6 years I'm on, it's basically a points plan, okay? And I had been on it before, and it was points then too. It was just a different structure. But I introduced you to so many things that are not necessarily taught. And the core of this is all about choosing quality foods rather than quantity foods. I talked to you about how I started this journey wanting to be full all the time. So I chose foods so I could eat so much for so little, right? And I'm pretty sure that the overwhelming majority of the people that start WW are thinking with this same mentality. Let me choose foods that are the biggest bang for my buck. There are people that make it to their goal doing this. There are people that have much more weight to lose, and maybe things have to change. You have to become much more detailed in how you handle things. That's kind of what we've been going over. I've been talking to a very specific group of people here that they need help going to the next level. And now that you have the tools available to you in the WW app, it is important to take advantage of them. I believe with all my heart that eventually everyone should start to make choices based on the quality of the food they're eating versus how much food they can eat. And the biggest thing when I made this transition, I noticed, was that I no longer needed to eat as often when I started to choose quality over quantity. When I chose quantity, you could set your watch by it. I would be hungry at 6, at 10, at 12, at 2. I would literally almost every day within 5 or 10 minutes. And you could say, "Oh, Don, you just developed some habits there." Maybe I did. Or maybe the food I chose was not designed to satiate me beyond that. We never think about satiety. We never think about how long will the food I'm choosing satisfy me. We only think about, is this worth the points? And you know what? When I think about how many times I thought that, when I look back in my time here, I can literally say, man, was I stupid for thinking that, for being so shallow-minded and not seeing the whole picture. But I guess we all have to learn sometime, right? Some way we have to come to a point of learning. The benefit of this is, since I've learned and I have this platform, I feel obligated to tell you everything I've learned. What you do with what I tell you is completely up to you. I can no longer see this podcast as a success or a failure based on your action. As hard as that is for me, the one thing I want most for this podcast is I want it for it to succeed. The way I could see it succeeding is I'm changing people's lives. And when I can't see that I'm changing people's lives, it becomes very frustrating very quickly. But I'm still here. I'm still going. As hard as that is, it's what I'm doing. The problem that literally has to die, the mentality that has to die, if you are going to be successful with the topics I have been talking about over the past few weeks. Since I returned in 2025, I have been directing you in a method of slowly transitioning your life from choosing quantity to choosing quality foods. And it would probably be a different way of choosing the way you eat altogether. So like I said before, with these changes is going to come failure. And the biggest thing you're going to have to do here in all of this is realize the difference between perfection and consistent. That mentality, that perfect mentality, it really needs to die. It does no one any good ever. Ever. There is no possible way to be perfect, and there is nobody on plan. I don't care how you perceive them. Nobody is perfect on this plan. I have made it a point to tell you I am purposefully imperfect. It helps you keep your sanity if you aren't living up to some imaginary achievement, since it's impossible to achieve. But consistency is achievable. This is why I created the checklist challenge. It's specifically for the birth of starting to understand the difference between perfection and consistent. And it is simple and it is laid out. Everything I ever teach you guys is logically simple, like so stupid simple, that most people say it can't be that easy. It's easily explained, but everything I teach you is all together as it builds and expands and grows and you evolve. All of it overall is the most difficult thing you will ever do. It's the most difficult thing you will ever achieve. So what does consistency look like? In the beginning of my checklist challenge, I walk you through starting, and I assume that you do nothing, right? So that's why I can make it for everyone. I assume that you aren't doing any of the fundamental things involved. What are the fundamentals? If you don't know them, you're tracking your food, you're weighing and measuring your food, and you're getting out and moving. Those are fundamentals. Those are the things that we all have in common that we all know we need to do. And those are the things that are often overlooked, thought to be unnecessary. People cut corners. They do things however they want. They eyeball things because they don't want to put the effort in. The consistency challenge begins with a commitment of 8 weeks, tracking 3 full days of a 7-day week. And this doesn't mean you just do whatever the hell you want the other 4. This means that you have 4 chances to mess up the entire day. You can mess up the majority of the week and still succeed in phase 1 of the checklist challenge. Because the phase 1 is literally track everything you eat for 3 days of a 7-day week. That's it. And if you get it wrong on Monday, we're right back at it on Tuesday. If you get it wrong on Tuesday, you literally can get it wrong 4 days in a row before the pressure is on. And now, you still may fail. You still may go a 5th day. This is the point that I'm talking about that needs to be gotten over. Because it is in this moment that not only are you condemning yourself for this instance, you are also condemning yourself for literally every other instance in every other attempt of every single program you have ever heard of and attempted. If you aren't ever going to let those attempts go, if you are going to constantly keep your eye on the past, you'll never be able to move forward. You can't walk backwards into the future. Nobody does that. You walk forwards, you have your head up, and you're looking forward the entire time. You're not looking backwards. We need to break this mentality of condemning yourself for years' worth of failures, years' worth of attempts, and years' worth of trends. It's all got to go. You need to consider yourself a new person. And it doesn't matter what happened before. I am sitting here 100 some odd pounds down, 170 some odd pounds, whatever it is. And nothing I have accomplished before today matters anymore. I could go into a workshop. I can go up to 1,000 workshops today, and I can announce in every single one that I'm 175 pounds down, whatever it is. And everybody would say, wow, that's so amazing, blah, 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 blah. Say something to the rest of the people. But I'm telling you, my evolution, my story, my journey, none of that matters. The only thing that matters from the past is the lessons that were learned. And the lessons don't come from the successes. They come from the failures. You have to become comfortable failing. You have to become comfortable with the knowledge that not only are you not perfect, and not only is it impossible for you to be perfect, you have to come to the knowledge and the belief that it is not necessary for you to even attempt to be perfect. Your goal, your only goal, is to make behaviors that condone weight loss a habit in your life. That's what it's about. It's about making habits that produce the results you're looking for. And all of your effort, all of your knowledge, and all of your fortitude, determination, whatever fancy words you want to use, all of it is implemented into the work you are doing rather than the result you are achieving. Because the perfection of the work or the constant practice of it is what brings the result. What good is Michael Jordan if he couldn't do foul shots? Really, what is it? What good is it? Michael Jordan is probably one of the most complete players that ever played the game. Because from the day he started to the day he finished, his entire concentration was on the fundamentals of the game. He was by far the most fundamentally sound basketball player that ever stepped on the foot on the court. And I don't need to tell you this. The actual Hall of Famers of that sport say it to the rooftops. So, my logic here is, if I could become the Michael Jordan of doing WW, if I could become so consistent in doing the most boring part of all of it, the tedious crap that nobody wants to do, if I could become the Michael Jordan of tracking, if I could become the Michael Jordan of weighing and measuring my food, if I could become the Michael Jordan of getting out and going for a walk, if I could do that consistently, the results that Michael Jordan produces would certainly come at some point. The problem is, when you concentrate only on the result, you're going to judge your success or failure based on a result. And I have been trying to teach the world that your success and failures come from the work done consistently. If you are in phase 1 of my checklist challenge, your job is to track 3 full days out of a 7-day week. And your job is to do that for 8 weeks. At the end of those 8 weeks, it changes. You have to maintain phase 1, and then phase 2 begins, and stuff is added. And that's how it goes. 8 weeks at a time, being built. A piece at a time. I talk about the checklist challenge. If you're new here and you don't know what the checklist challenge is, go to my website, www.therantingweightwatcher.com. Scroll almost all the way down to the bottom of the page. You're going to start seeing a bunch of documents that I typed up. Each one of those documents can be downloaded and printed out on your computer. One of them is the checklist challenge. Download it, print it, read it out, and implement it. Building consistency in those habits over months and months and months of time will transform your life. And it will get your eyes off of the result. Because you know what? You're still going to step on the scale once a week. And you're going to say, okay, I'm up 1. I'm down 1. But you're going to look back on the week and you say, did I track 3 of the 7 days? Yes. This week is a success. Because my only goal for this week was to track 3 of 7 days. As you go through each one, what you'll notice is that you have imperfect days. But if you're doing this and you have all of your effort into the work and the structure that was given, you'll notice that even the 99.9% execution of the plan, the result might go the opposite way. And that's when it broke the hold on me. And that's what I'm hoping for all of you, is that in that moment, the result breaks because you know the work you did. The problem is why the scale has such a hold on everybody's life is we know the work we don't do. And so when the result comes, the result is condemning the work you don't do. Is this on? Can you hear me? The result condemns the person you are not. If your goal is to track 3 full days of a 7-day week and you step on the scale and it's a bad result, are you still a person who succeeded at tracking 3 full days of a 7-day week? You sure as hell are. You can bet your sweet ass that you succeeded. You succeeded. That's what I'm trying to create here. I'm trying to create success in the work that is necessary, that you should be doing anyway. The fundamental work that needs to be done on a daily basis, it needs to be built from somewhere. If you're doing nothing, go and download the checklist challenge, read through it, and put the plan in place. Mark the days on the calendar. If you want to make it work so that each week starts on weigh-in day, do it. Do it. And follow it. Use the guidelines to your advantage. If you notice that you're already doing phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, skip to phase 4. Start from there. This is a skeleton to make any behavior for any reason consistent in your life. Part of this is you have to be a visionary. You have to be able to see what needs to be done. And if you're wasting your time thinking the fundamentals are unnecessary, how much longer will you waste the time? How many more years do you have to keep doing things your way and getting your results and questioning yourself before you really see that the only thing wrong is your purposeful ignorance of the fundamentals? Oh, it can't be that important to track. Oh, it can't be that important. It can't be that situational that me eyeballing my food versus measurement, it can't be that detrimental. And it can't be that detrimental for me to get out and move. How long do you have to keep that mentality? How many more attempts do there have to be before you realize the definition of insanity is doing something over and over and over again the exact same way and expecting different results? This is not up to me. This is up to you. Consistency looks like I got it wrong on Monday, but I got it right Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I got it wrong Friday, but I got it right Saturday. It's all over the place. You might get it wrong on Monday one week. You might get it wrong on Wednesday the second week. You might get it wrong on It doesn't matter which days you get it right and wrong, so long as you get them right enough times to say that the week was successful. And if you don't, start asking the questions. What are the core questions I always ask you? I say, what do I do well? What do I not do well? What don't I do at all? What needs most improvement? What can I do today that will make tomorrow better than today? This is a business meeting, a board status meeting. Everybody in your head is meeting, and the big boss is like, hey, the results are wrong. What's going on here? Where do we need help? What do we do well? Well, production is on point, sir. Okay. So what don't we do well? Sales are down. What can we change about sales to make next month better than this month? and the sales team says, if you give us more money for marketing, we can promise an increase in sales. So the big boss looks around. How can I create more money for marketing to increase sales? This is the mentality that should be present when you are analyzing what you do well, what you don't do well, what you don't do at all, what needs most improvement, and what you can do today that would make tomorrow better than today. That is the kind of attitude. And so long as the attitude is destructive and you spend and waste time condemning yourself for getting it wrong yet again, as long as that still exists, it's just never going to happen. Never going to happen. You have to accept that you are an imperfect being. There is not a single one of you listening to the sound of my voice that would stand in front of a group of people and promise them that you are perfect. You would openly say, I am not a perfect man. I am not a perfect woman. But instead, when it comes to the becoming healthy world, I got it wrong. What is wrong with me that I can't get this right? Instead of saying, what did I do well today? What didn't I do well today? What didn't I do at all today? What needs most improvement? What can I do tomorrow to make tomorrow better than today? That simple. As long as you keep this unrealistic visionary of, I need to be perfect, you will only reveal to yourself how imperfect you are, and you will only waste time condemning yourself. Let me give you an example of how powerful realizing imperfection is. If you are any denomination of Christianity right now, I don't care, Catholic, Protestant, all of them, non-denominational, if you believe that Christ walked the earth, that he was the Son of God, and that he was the sinless lamb, if you are one of those people, he's the only man that walked the face of the earth that was perfect. Now, he could say, well, if I did it, they all could do it. Why should I have to die and get nailed to a cross? I mean, think about how things would be right now if he did that. If I could do it, they can do it. Instead, he became the pathway to imperfection because he knew it was impossible for us to be perfect. So he had to give us a way to heaven as imperfect beings. And whether you believe in God, Christianity, Jesus Christ, and what he did on the cross, whether you believe it or not, let's just say when you take your last breath on this earth, if you find out at that point that everybody who talked about Jesus was right, there is no way anybody on this planet will ever be able to say, I never knew the story of Jesus Christ. That's how widespread the knowledge of the story is. There is not a person alive that will be able to say they didn't hear the story. They have no idea who that is. Not a person alive. He is the only one who lived a sinless, perfect life. And rather than go on and get the benefit of it, he chose to take all of ours with him and get brutally mistreated for it. I'll just say it like that. If he could see your value in your imperfect soul, how is it that you can demand that you need to be perfect to follow Weight Watchers, to follow keto, to follow whatever it is you are trying to follow? If he was willing to do all of that for your imperfect person that stands in front of you every day when you look in the mirror, for that person that you look at in the mirror, if he was willing to take on that beating and take on all of that for that imperfect soul, who are you to demand perfection in the little things you're trying to do? I need you guys to get this. There's only so many more times I could pound it into your head. You will fail. And failure is not the end. Failure is the beginning of the next attempt. Your job in every failure is to find the lesson that is needed and do whatever it takes to learn from that lesson. The last thing that is your job is to condemn yourself for the failure in the first place. Stop wasting your time thinking you could actually be perfect at this and start utilizing that time wisely and thinking about, how do I fix it tomorrow? How do I fix it on the next meal? If you got it wrong at breakfast, that doesn't mean you just give it up. People who get it wrong on Friday, it's like if you were a baseball player and you struck out on Friday, you're not going to strike out the rest of the weekend, every other at bat on purpose because you struck out on Friday's game. Like, oh, I struck out. But we do that every week. We strike out on Friday, and then we get up for 3 at-bats on Saturday, we purposely strike out. We get out for 3 at-bats on Sunday, we purposely strike out. And then we put all of the emphasis on getting Monday right. And the minute you get Monday right, or the minute you get Monday wrong, you're a failure again. All over again. When are we going to realize it's not that difficult to understand that your consistent, unwavering effort to be imperfect is far more valuable than your occasional achieving what you perceive to be perfect? I don't have much else to say here. The rest is up to you. I want success for all of you. I am here to fill the gaps. the need that you have, not the want, the need that you have is what I become. Whether you think you need it or not, that's what I become. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. That's what this podcast exists to be the message that you need to hear. And that message is clear. If it's encouragement you need, this podcast becomes the encouragement you need. If it's truth that you need, this podcast becomes the truth that you need. If it's the cheerleader that you need, this podcast becomes the cheerleader that you need. Your success, your failure could be separated by one simple thing. It could be separated by a complete stranger you've never met believing in you. And if no one in your life believes in you, then this podcast becomes the one thing that believes in you. Because I believe in every single person who would put all of their effort into the fundamentals of this program. I believe that every single one of you can do it. You just have to put your all into the work, not the result. The result doesn't matter if your work's not consistent. And you need to recognize that now more than ever, because this opportunity, who knows how long it will take to change the program? Who knows? But it's here now. Take advantage while it lasts. Learn what you don't know about nutrition. Now, more than ever. It's your ability to get past the nonsense of your past. To say today you are a new person. You are born again in what you're attempting to do. And every failed attempt before this moment no longer matters. And if you start to dare condemn yourself with it, then this podcast will become the truth and slap you in the face and say, no! That is not the person you are anymore. That's what this podcast is here for. To be what you need the most. This podcast will never condemn anyone. It will only lift you up and give you the knowledge you need to succeed. And whether that knowledge is painful or not is irrelevant. Because it's only painful because it's true. And if you don't take offense and instead implement the theories involved, the world is yours. Start grasping it and do what needs to be done. And start today becoming the greatest version of yourself. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.